But baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go away.
Baby, it's cold outside.
This evening has been
I'm hoping that you drop
so
in.
very nice.
I'll hold your hands, they're just like ours.
My mother will start to worry.
Beautiful, what's your hurry?
And father will be pacing the floor.
Listen to that fireplace roar.
So really I'd better scurry.
Beautiful, please don't
Well,
hurry.
maybe just a half a drink more.
Put some records on while I pour.
The neighbors might think,
Baby, it's bad out there.
say, what's in this
No
drink?
cabs to be.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Weekly Wine Comic Time. My name is Christine,
I'm Niko.
and this is episode 20.
Wow. Look at us go.
We made it this far.
I know. Well, it's weekly. It says so in the title, so that means we've been going for about, like 5 months?
Yeah,
Jeez.
5 months now. That's crazy.
That
I
is
didn't
crazy.
think that we'd last this long.
No, but I'm still enjoying doing it, so
Same here.
what the hell?
Why not? As
Even-
long as we enjoy
Yeah,
it.
even when I'm broken and tired like I am now.
Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, head pounding because the headache's coming on. Still doing it up.
Yeah. It's all for you guys.
Yeah.
So I guess just to start right into it, because I know we have quite a bit to talk about tonight. I'm starting off with our wines this evening. So the first one is a very Conan approved wine. It's got a big bearded ginger on the front here.
Yeah.
It's called Humenti, and I believe this is, this is a wine from Spain. It's actually quite a strong wine. It's 14%, but it was strong. But
Yeah,
I thought it
that's-
was really
I was
good.
about to say, you couldn't tell. Yeah,
No,
it went
I
down
thought
pretty
it was
smooth.
actually really good.
Went down pretty smooth. Maybe that's why I have the headache.
Maybe it just hit you all of a sudden. But yeah, this was kind of the inspiration for this was because it was Conan inspired, and Conan's in our books this week.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a Viking on the bottle of this one. Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
one of those ones where we picked up the wine
Based on the label.
based on the label. Yeah, but yeah, it was a pretty smooth ride. It was good.
And then the second one is Gato Negro, and it's a Merlot from Chile. This one's just a very basic red. It's kind of your just go-to smooth, nothing too bold, nothing too scary. Just a generic, good table red,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I had a couple glasses of this, small glasses. I kind of tapped out of drinking that one because this headache is coming on.
Yeah.
But I had a little bit of that. We drank the other bottle, but yeah, this one I had a taste of as well. It was okay. I actually prefer the Viking one.
Yeah, I
over
like
this.
that one too better. It's definitely has more flavor and more of a bolder flavor.
Yeah.
But this one, like I said, is a good like table wine, good, just an everyday drinking wine.
Yeah, I think you threw like an ice cube in there. It might be good.
Ugh.
It was a joke.
That's blasphemy.
Yeah. It's a bougie move.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I know.
It's a ghetto move.
I know.
So tonight I think I have 9 comics, and you have 7. Or you have 10.
No, I think I have 9. You have 8.
Oh, I have. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have one more. And
Yeah.
are you gonna start us off?
Sure, why not? First off, we got King Thor #3. This is written by Jason Aaron, art by Esad Ribic, and art by Das Pastoris, which is worth noting because I don't think this artist has been on the book since, like, I think he did that issue that I love at the end of the God Butcher arc, the one with the dragon. I think he did. I remember he
Okay.
brought on some, like, heavy metal kind of looking artist. And this guy may have worked even on heavy metal. Like, I think he's appeared like once or maybe twice in the Conan series, this artist. He did a few pages in here. It was mostly Esad Ribic.
Yeah.
But there was like a scene with the Daughters of Thunder or whatever, the
very
Women of
drawn.
Thunder. Yeah. It's like very like, I don't know, like pastel-ish, like the color is, and yeah, it's like painted kind of. It's something like if you're familiar with the heavy metal magazine, it's like a European artist that you would see in like heavy metal. And if this artist did work for heavy metal, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm pretty certain they have. If not, they should. They should.
They should go there now.
Yeah, but yeah, those pages were good, and the Esad Ribic art was good. It fits the tone of this story. And we're one issue away from Jason Aaron basically being done with Thor. Donny Cates is now being announced as the new writer, along with Nick Klein, which I'm also looking forward to. And but yeah, I mean, they're talking about like over 100 issues. I think he said he all said and done when he
from the get-go.
I'm sad. I'm going to be sad to see it go. But this was a good issue. I don't know. I gotta give it a 4. I enjoyed it, but I think he's saving it all for that last issue. Yeah,
this is kind of an amp up issue.
Yeah, although I would say like out of all 3 issues so far, this one was probably the one that I gave the least to. Like I think that last issue was my favorite of the week actually, and the first one just started off so great. This is basically just putting things in place because the finale's coming next issue.
Yeah, so it's kind of doing the backpedaling and amping up.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, Jason Aaron kind of brought back some gods from earlier in his run, which he referenced, I guess, at the end of the God Butcher arc. He had brought back some gods who had lost their place from the God Bomb, the Gore the Butcher. He I guess after he thought he had destroyed him, and then all the leftover power from that God Bomb he had collected, some gods were left without places to be gods of. So then Thor put them on this planet where his daughters, what are they called, Daughters of Thunder or something like that. They basically went and collected them from and brought them here. The Girls of Thunder, there we go.
Close enough.
Brought them to the fight here to help out here in their because him and Loki were kind of on the outs and losing. So the fact that they brought them, helped out the situation. And Thor basically, and at the end it leaves it off with them thinking they got one up on Gore, but then it turns out like he's covered the whole like realm, like the whole universe with darkness, like, that they're basically in. And like you just see him peering from the darkness up in like the clouds at the end of it. The All Black, the Necroverse, like he essentially just turned like the whole world now into like consumed by this
universe.
So we'll see how they get out of it, or that they won't,
or they
because
don't,
this is a future story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when
it's
Donny
not really
Cates,
in continuity,
it could be, but it's in a
future,
far future. Like so, and so Donny Cates, like when he starts his run, he's not going to take over from where he leaves off with this.
No.
So
that'd be a weird story,
right? And then for all we know, Thor's tale that Jason Aaron wrote ended on a good note already in the Thor series.
Yeah,
like they won, and that was it at the end of that. Right, but now the King Thor miniseries that he's decided, is the future Thor. So we'll see how it ends. I thought it was a good issue though. I give it a 4.
I'll agree with you on the 4. I thought this was good. I just think it was, like you said, a very amping up issue. The look of Gore is just so cool. I think he's such a weird, crazy, cool-looking character.
Weird design, yeah. I like those weird appendages that like hang from his like.
They've got like weird feather things on the bottoms of them.
Yeah, they're
like
strange.
tendrils.
They're strange looking. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think he's a very unique, kind of cool-looking guy.
Yeah.
He's fucking creepy though. But so I gave this a 4.
Kind of reminds me of that guy from Harry Potter. Voldemort.
Voldemort. Yeah. He who must not be named.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he has no nose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, he does, but they're like right between his eyes.
Very faint. Yeah.
It's very flush to his face.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gave this a 4 as well. I agree with you there.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one here, I guess this I feel like I'm always doing these ones. On the chopping block.
No, I got a couple in my pile here today.
You never say it.
Jeez. All right,
I'm
go
just
on.
calling you out now. So this is Excalibur number 2, and this is written by Teeny Howard and artist by Marcus Toe. So this I thought was still good. I wasn't on the same high as the first one after reading this. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was still really good. I liked how, the team here is still trying to help Rogue, and they're trying to save her, and she's in this weird kind of trance and all encumbered with florals all around her. Then they get attacked by what looks like weird mermaid people, but they call them seals, which I don't understand.
Right.
And then they get stranded on this island, and they have to basically now fight off these I guess they're kind of mages. But yeah, they're these people cloaked in these green cloaks, and only Captain Britain can see them.
Yeah.
So everyone else
Betsy
thinks that she's crazy.
Yeah.
And she ends up going to speak to them. They end up, like, basically putting her into almost like a trance type thing, or tell her, like, foreshadowing her future kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she ends up dreaming this whole weird dream with apocalypses involved, and there's this weird flaming fox wolf with a sword. The whole thing was kind of a weird dream sequence.
Yeah.
She wakes up and kind of everything starts coming up, where the baby's here, Apocalypse comes in, Apocalypse ends up staying behind on this planet to help give them time to go to the otherworld.
Yep.
To save her brother, and then all of a sudden, like, it looks like the baby becomes a fucking dragon.
Oh, is that who turned into that dragon at the
I
end?
think so.
Shogo?
Yeah, Shogo turns into a baby.
Oh.
I mean, the baby turns into a dragon.
I didn't make that connection.
Because she goes, my baby, and then they're like, he says, Shogo.
I didn't fucking catch that. I just seen a dragon, and I must have just checked out on that. And I'm like, oh, look, a dragon.
And then she's like, where? Then she says again, where's my baby? And then they're all trying to figure out where he came from.
Jubilee's baby, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, and like the dragon basically says the baby's name. So I'm
that's
assuming
interesting.
The dragon is the baby.
Okay.
So I thought that was a kind of
I
really
didn't
cool
catch
ending.
that. No, you're probably right. I didn't catch that. Oh, okay.
So I gave this a 4.
Huh.
I actually still really quite enjoy this book.
Yeah. So your vote would be to continue with it.
I would, yes.
I also gave this a 4.
Okay.
I liked this issue better than the first one.
Okay.
What I found was I don't care about these characters as much.
Okay.
I think is my issue. The people I find the most interesting in this are Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And like, I guess, like, Betsy Braddock is Captain Britain. Like, I wish Captain Britain was actually in it. I wish this team was more like the original Excalibur team, but it's not. It's like this new status quo one. I'm not a huge Jubilee fan. Like, I mean, I get it. That's those 90s X-Men, like the cartoon ones.
Yeah.
Gambit, Rogue, like,
yeah.
They're okay. They've grown on me a bit. I like Rogue. Gambit, not as much, but I've read their series where they got married and stuff, and that was fun enough. Anyways, I just find that I don't care about this team as much, and it's too magic-y for me. You know me. I
like the magic.
I know you like the magic aspect, but I will say I like this issue better than the first, and I would like to read it, but I think I'm okay in trade weighting it personally.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know.
We can trade weight for the fact that we read a shit ton of comics.
That's yeah. But
I do want to continue reading it.
I will say it was good. I wouldn't say let's drop it because it was bad. I'm just looking for a cut, and out of all the other X-Men books, this one still is ranking lower for me out of the other ones.
That's
I
fair.
said let's continue with. That I give a vote for.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. It was good though. Like, I'm not. That's why I don't want to let make anybody think it wasn't. Like,
no,
I did
still read this.
I did enjoy it. It's just like that, even more so than the magic stuff. Like, because magic is fine. Like, I can take it or leave it, but and that's definitely the like, this X-Men book is definitely in that kind of like
if you're
tone.
a fan into that type of
I just don't care as much about these characters. Although I will say that's kind of cool that her baby turned into a dragon at the end.
Right?
That's what happened. So that was cool. All right, so I also gave it a 4.
Perfect.
So next up on the chopping block, you happy?
Yes.
Deadpool #1. This is written by Kelly Thompson, art by Chris Boccello or Baccello. I never know how to say his fucking name. I think it's Baccello. This is basically the newest the launch of Deadpool. Scotty Young was the last writer of this, and I guess we waited for a few months in between series.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
And this one came out. I, as of recently, became a big fan of Kelly Thompson as a writer. I picked up a bunch of stuff I hadn't read from her initially in issues, in trades. Like her Jessica Jones run was pretty awesome that she did, and she did some stuff on the what's her name? I don't want to call her Lady Hawkeye, but the female Hawkeye. What the hell is her fucking name now? I'm having a hard time remembering it. Kate Bishop. Thank you.
Oh, that's
there we
her
go.
name,
Yeah,
yes.
Kate Bishop. I was just looking at my shelf, everybody. That's why I stepped away from the mic. The Kate Bishop Hawkeye run I really enjoyed. So I've liked a bunch of like stuff. She has a good sense of humor. She has a real good knack for dialogue. She actually also wrote the series that were Gambit and Rogue got married. Mr. and Mrs.
I didn't
X.
know
She
that.
also wrote
Okay.
that series as well. Actually, speaking of that series. Yeah, she's funny. She's got a real good knack for dialogue. Deadpool actually showed up in that book, and like him and Rogue, he was trying to kind of rekindle something. Apparently, she kissed him in some Uncanny Avengers run or something that they were in together. So he was trying to see, and became just like, you do know we're married now, don't you? He basically just showed up. He's just like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So going into this, I actually really enjoyed when she wrote Deadpool in that series. So I'm like, this will probably be good. And I actually really enjoyed this. I love Elsa Bloodstone. I love that. Basically, in this issue, Deadpool takes up a contract to go and kill this huge monster, and then it turns out these monsters basically took over Staten Island.
Yeah.
And he had to go on the ferry to Staten Island, but he's like, Staten Island, I don't want to fucking do this mission.
Nobody wants to go here.
Yeah, he's like, he almost didn't want to take the contract, but it started off really depressing, and it's his birthday, and no one's there, and he's just he abducted the mailman and made him sit in the room with him and eat cake. So he's just
He's like, why'd you kidnap me? He's like, you're not a kid, you're in your 40s.
Yeah. Yeah, so I liked that. I love Chris Boccello's art. I really love his art. I know
the art looks flawless.
I love his art. I mean, I know for some, I will agree, in some panels you don't know what the fuck you're looking at sometimes when it's Chris Boccello.
But it's so good.
But yeah, but it's so good. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and then the monsters
cool.
were funny, and then basically he goes to Staten Island and he finds out these monsters have taken over, and he ends up taking out his the one that he had out a contract out on, which was I guess the leader of them. He kills him, and then he becomes king of the monsters because he ends up killing him.
It's almost like the Thing with the underground people.
Yeah, and then Elsa Bloodstone shows up because she's a monster hunter, of course, and she actually showed up when Kelly Thompson wrote Jessica Jones as well, so I already knew again that she writes his character awesome. I love Elsa Bloodstone, so yeah, I like this a lot, as you can tell. For me, it was a 5. Great art, funny jokes. The tone was perfect for Deadpool, and it's a really good artist for a Deadpool book. And I like the dialogue. She writes snappy, smart dialogue and funny dialogue. So I thought it was a great start for Deadpool. And it was a weird Deadpool story. You know what I mean? Not something I think we've gotten from other writers as of late.
It was just kind of off the wall, rather.
I know it's your basic him taking on a
wall.
Contract and going and killing somebody, but it went into a lot of different places and different
But even
people
recently, we haven't even seen him do that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
He
Just
did
to
it
get
a
back
bit in Scotty Young's run.
A little.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I actually really enjoed this.
So I would say keep it.
Yes, I would keep this as well. The art was awesome. I loved the art in this. But yeah, I loved the black and white and red panel pages that they did here in the depressing scenes. I thought that was really striking, and it looked really awesome. Yeah, there's not much more to say. This was freaking cool. This weird bird that's been with him this whole time was really funny.
Yeah.
It was really, really well done. I thought this was a great start to it. I gave that a 5 as well.
Nice. All right, so I guess we're sticking with that. After Scotty Young, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of Deadpooled out. I'm good for a break. But then
I love Scotty Young, but his thing
he burned
actually
out towards the end.
wore me out.
Yeah,
I felt like he wrote the same issue over and over.
I think you actually talked about that on the show actually when he ended, and by the time,
like I was tired.
By the time the run, that's what I mean. By the time the run was done, I was kind of burned out.
Yeah,
and
but
then
this is kind of reinvigorating.
Yeah, but then as soon as I saw the team on this, I was like, okay, I'll try that out because I've liked her stuff that I've read lately. So yeah,
but
nice.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I felt good about that one. So the next one I have here is Hit Girl number 10. This is the second part of the India series. This is by Peter Milligan and Allison Sampson. So this, I still really enjoy this one. I know we kind of were lacking on the last couple of stories or arcs, I guess, from this. But this India one I actually think is a really neat story. I think they've really gotten a good grasp on, you know, more real life. Like we went into all of this, I know, the last time we talked about it in the first one, but more like real life issues.
Yep.
And stuff that can happen and does go on, and like how, you know, kids get used for things and adults just, you know, take advantage of them, and the fact that they're disfiguring and mutilating these children to do their bidding is crazy. But yeah, these kids end up coming against themselves, which I think is fucking crazy. So this one, the art is a little bit, is not a little bit, it's very different than what I'm used to. The art and colors in this I think are really fitting for this book though.
Yeah.
I think everything really clicks, I find. So this I gave a 4.5. I actually quite enjoyed this.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually there with you. I actually also would give it a 4.5. I was going between 4 and 4.5, but you brought up a good point that I also was going to bring up as well, is that while the art isn't my favorite, while it works for this story, and also I think that it's very obvious this team is taking great strides in actually bringing you the experience of her being in India.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I've never been to India, but
I feel like the colors and everything are very reminiscent.
Yeah, the color palette works well with it. I think that they actually have mentioned things, like you could tell that there was either this guy knows a lot about Indian culture or like he's done a lot of research. Yeah, exactly. And there's actual, like, you see the goings on between people, like, in this story, in their everyday lives in this book, and there's like some whole political things to it as well. Like, 2 issues in of a 4-issue miniseries, there's a lot in this. That's what I mean.
It's
and
a hefty book,
and
but it doesn't feel super.
But then for like these Hit Girl series, which have been kind of like you said, like kind of, you know, like simple most of the last couple of arcs, I would say, like. This is good, and it actually takes, like, it actually does a great job of, like, not just saying, hey, guess what, guys, we're in Canada. Like, they actually, like,
the Canadian one was pretty shit. Well, I really liked it.
That was Jeff Lemire too.
I know, and I'm not knocking, but I really liked it. But I just felt like it was like, oh yeah, there's these bad guys, eh?
Right.
And like we're
send them up north.
And,
No, I get what you mean.
Here's some
like,
snow.
Yeah. No, I know, but it's just so yeah. This one's done a good job, I think, of actually capturing something different and like So I agree. I would also give it a 4.5. It was good. So next up, we got the question, The Deaths of Vic Sage. This is book 1 out of 4. This is from DC Black Label. Written by Jeff Lemire, art by Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz on inks. And basically, this is another Black Label release. I've been really enjoying the Black Label stuff, so this is like an oversized issue. And yeah, this was no different. I really enjoyed this. I've read some of the question run, the original question run from like, I guess it's like the late 80s, early 90s. I've been trying to collect the whole run because DC has let it go out of print. They've collected in 6 paperbacks, and I've collected most of the single issues. So I've read like, I don't know, like the first 10 issues or something of this series so far, and I really enjoyed it. I got to get back to it. I haven't read too much question other than that, except for that and like when Greg Rucka has wrote the question, and that was like a female question. It's not even this. It's Renee Montoya the cop from
Yes.
the Gotham Central. She becomes the question.
Oh, okay.
So it's not even the same question as this one, Vic Sage. So basically, Dennis Cowan was the original artist on that run.
Oh.
The one that's like so well regarded.
Yeah.
So, and Bill
That's really
Sienkiewicz
cool.
did a lot of the covers for that series.
Oh, wow.
So the fact that Jeff
They got
Lemire,
everybody back on it.
who's I've heard say loves that run, was able to work with that same art team.
That's awesome.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So for him, and it doesn't mean as much to me, but I am aware of how highly regarded a run it is. And like I said, I've read some of it and it was good, but I didn't grow up with it. Like I wasn't alive buying comics at that time. Or I was alive, just not buying comics off the shelf. Yeah. Anyways, this was good. I liked this. I thought the art was really interesting. The Bill Sienkiewicz inks, I mean, he brings a certain like scratchiness and like texture to Dennis Cowan's pencils that may not be for some because it's like very messy and like very different and striking and angular and scratchy and inky, but I really dig it. Like I think it's a cool look. I think it fits this book.
For a Black Label book, it really, I think,
and it fits like a
it.
crime noir kind of like type book. Like this is a book about like it's a hard boiled detective story. So like of course like it fits that.
You're not gonna have a clean line, bright colored.
I mean, I'm a fan of Dennis Cowan's work, anyways. But yeah, this was good. I mean, I really love the art. The art was my favorite thing about it. It basically just set up the fact that Vic Sage he finds out that, and I guess the reason why it's called the deaths of Vic Sage on the cover here is that he finds out that there might have been other questions or other lives that he lived that he's not aware of, because he finds like some underground kind of lair and like the precipice of it. It's like it's got like these like different question like masks that are there, and then like he goes to see the guy that basically Richard Dragon, who like I guess has taught him stuff in the past, and like I guess knows about his identity and all that, and he's asking him like what the fuck is this? What is this mask doing there? Like, he's like, let me get this straight. You found an underground lair? And he's just like, what the hell? Like, and then he like gives him some tea and he goes on like a fucking acid trip, basically.
He's like, here you go, and like kicks the chair over. He's like, you'll understand now.
Yeah, which is awesome that he goes like on a fucking vision quest type thing. So
it was very reminiscent to me because I don't know a lot about the question, but for Jeff Lemire, it reminds me of the Moon Knight.
Yeah. It's trippy like that, sure. The only thing I will say about this that I think I didn't love, or it took me a little while to get into, as many different things that Jeff Lemire writes and is good at writing, I would say him writing a crime like detective type story is
dark.
Yeah, it's new to him.
Yeah.
It just felt that some of the dialogue at times, or at least the setups.
Like an Ed Brubaker.
But that's what I mean. I hate to compare it to that,
No,
but
I
that's like one of my favorite
that's
genre
when you
of
think
comics.
That genre,
right.
That's who you think of.
And if I had to compare it, I would say it's not as good as that.
But they've had years and years and years.
Right. So like that's what I mean. I hate to like but I just
you might grow with the 4
issues. So I give it a 4.5 instead of a 5 because of that. Just because I think that while this was good and I'm on board, but by the way, on the chopping block, guys. Yeah, sorry. This is a new book, so if you want to continue grabbing it, I liked it. I just think that I just don't think he's and I think it's an unfair comparison, but I think with the second issue
it'll feel a little bit better. Yeah. I gave this a 4. Okay. So I did really like it, but again, I don't have the background with the question. You gave me a lot of information while reading this that helped a lot.
Yeah.
So this was all very new. I really liked it. But yeah, I think I gave this a 4. I loved the art. I thought the art was really fitting for this, like you said. By the end of it, I think it took me a little while to get into it. I think that's why I give it a half a point less than you.
Yeah.
It just took me a little while to click into the story a bit, but by the end, and he's on his vision quest, I'm in.
Yeah.
And then he just has no face.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. The imagery at the end there was awesome.
Yeah.
So my next one here is The Amazing Spider-Man number 34. This is written by Nick Spencer, art by Patrick Gleason. So this one here has the Spider-Man 2099 involved with it. And basically they're just kind of going through this whole... Again, Doom's in this one hardcore.
Yeah.
And I feel like we talk about Doom a lot now.
Yeah.
We had this conversation, I think, 2 episodes ago or something. But yeah, Doom is incredibly involved in this.
He's also at the center of the 2099 stuff because Doom 2099 was a book that came out during that 2099 era.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's why you see kind of like...
Everything's amping up with Doom now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was really good. I gave this a 4. It's a pretty good amping up story, and the whole connection between them and the fact that everybody was freaking out because they thought Dr. Doom was dead. And then Spider-Man comes in and they're all freaking out. The fact that he's coming in and he's touching Doom's body. And then he rips off the head and it's a Doom bot. And he's like, hey guys, like, obviously this is a Doom bot, you stupids.
Yeah.
And the bot puts his head back on and he ends up getting blasted into 2099 now. So, yeah.
Well, no, did he get blasted?
29?
No, I think that 29... Basically, what I think happened at the end of this is that...
Did I misinterpret?
Yeah, Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of 2099, came into his world.
Yeah.
And basically, I think because of something happening there... the reason that Doom shit happened at the end is I think that was Doom in their time, but because Doom came back into their time, like it fucked up the time. Like, yeah. So I think that this is the present day Doom, but what had happened was that.
But this part at the very end is still present day?
I believe so.
Okay.
So I'm thinking what is happening is they jump forward because as a result, this is what's going to lead to their fucked up future.
This is future, but not future 2099 future.
Right. So now I think because he came back, the timeline got all screwy because of course, and
everything always does.
And whatever is occurring with Doom right now, I think is what basically brings Doom to prominence in the 2099 universe. That's what I got out of it.
Okay, that makes sense too. Yeah, no, that's not quite where I went, but that does make total sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Nick Spencer's also writing the 2099 tie-in, and he's writing Spider-Man, and then a bunch of different writers are writing like these one-shots of 2099, which was something that happened in the 90s. Actually, written by Warren Ellis was Doom 2099
really?
in the 90s. Yeah, it was one of his first things he did for Marvel. Anyways, I give this also a 4. I agree with you. I thought the art was good. I liked the story. I liked how they kind of tied in the ongoing story into this 2099 stuff. I like Miguel O'Hara. I like Dr. Doom. So, yeah, I liked all this. I actually think that this did it well, and something that did not do it well, which I'm going to talk about now, was the 2099 issue. Basically, this is 2099 Alpha number 1, which is they're going to do like usual with some of these events where they kind of, goes and breaks off into a bunch of different one-shots. They do like an Alpha and Omega, like the end caps, like basically of this event. Nick Spencer's also written this, art by Victor Bogdanovic, which Christine was quick to note when she was reading it, and I was in agreement. He's a poor man's fucking Greg Capullo, essentially. I actually really like his art, but
I think his art is great.
Yeah, but you could definitely see hints of Greg Capullo in his character faces and stuff like that. I actually like his stuff as well, Victor Bogdanovic.
So if it looks like Greg Capullo, it's on its way.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's as good as Greg Capullo, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for like a 2099 book, I think that works well too, just because they're artists of the 90s, like Greg Capullo was, anyways, or like I guess even before that, but he's been around a long time. I just think it fits this book well. I just thought this was a lousy lead-in, this 2099. I didn't know what I was reading half the time while I was reading this. Like, although, mind you, read this after you read Amazing Spider-Man, apparently, because apparently Amazing Spider-Man is the lead into this, which I wasn't aware of. but I still don't think it gave, because I read,
say it didn't help.
yeah, I read this 2099 first, and then I read Amazing Spider-Man, but still, so basically where it leaves off in Amazing Spider-Man, this works as, like, I guess the starting of introducing you to the 2099 universe and having some sort of a storyline going on in the 2099 timeline, which I'm not very clear on, to be honest with you, of what that was. Maybe it's because this particular issue, it didn't hold my attention for whatever reason. I will say it was kind of cool seeing the Watcher.
That's the only part I was like, Niko would be intrigued by this.
The Doctor Doom of 2099 has the Watcher, like, in prison, basically, and, like, he's got him hooked up so he's forcing him to fucking watch out events for him and stuff like that, which is cool. I like that.
That's a cool idea, but that was about it.
Right, yeah. Other than that, I mean, like,
I couldn't even
all
tell
Nick
you the
Spencer
storyline.
is trying to do here is basically set up the other storylines for people, because there's going to be like a Conan one, there's going to be a Punisher one, some of them that I've ordered because I'd like the teams on them. So as one shots, I'm kind of interested, but as a lead-in,
it might be cool just to see a single character, because this issue I have no fucking idea.
Right. I just, and it's weird because, like, if this was the lead-in to all that other stuff, I don't think they did it justice introducing any of them. And then also, for that matter, Nick Spencer wrote this, but you could tell that everything he's putting into this 2099 stuff is in the current Amazing Spider-Man stuff. It's not in this.
It's not translating to the
so
actual
you
2099.
really didn't need to pick this up, guys. So I'll tell you that straight up. I gave this a 3. I'd like to give it more because of the art, but the story just was really lacking in this one. So yeah,
I'm right on par with you. I gave this a 3 too.
Yeah.
I'm like reading it because Niko told me right after reading the 2099, he's like, he read the Amazing Spider-Man and goes, oh shit, like I should have read this first. So I read it in the proper order, and I'm still reading it back to back going, what the fuck is this? I had no friggin' idea. So I honestly just I don't even know. The only thing that I thought was kind of really cool was the Watcher.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah,
other than that, it was a 3. Yeah, so my next one for tonight is Justice League number 36. This is written by Scott Snyder and Francis Manapul. So this I thought was a decent issue. I really like the art. I think the art was great. I think this just kind of moves this story along. I don't know. The Perpetua thing is still really cool. I just kind of want this whole thing to come to a head at this point. So
yeah, it is in 3 issues. Is the final issue of this 39.
3 more?
Yeah.
Okay. I can handle 3 more. I can do that. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's just one of those things where it's...
I think the last couple of issues, though, have been the best it's been so far.
For sure. Because it's finally coming to a head. So now I'm just ready to see the aftermath and everything like that.
Yeah.
I gave this a 4. I actually quite liked it. The ending I thought was awesome when they're like, when Batman's like, oh, you didn't think that I planned for this? And the whole entire building gets lifted into the air.
Of course, because he's Batman.
Of course it's Batman.
I'm Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also gave this a 4, and I think that we're just repeating ourselves the last couple of weeks when we have brought this up. But just because, like we keep saying, like, yeah, it's coming to its massive, huge conclusion of the storyline that's gone throughout all 36 issues so far. This is the same one, but yeah, I mean, that is what it's doing, and I think it's doing it well, and the art's on point, the writing's on point, and I'm looking forward to this wrapping up, and hopefully he sticks the landing here, because I mean, we're talking about almost 40 fucking issues of plot set up, so hopefully,
fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is James Tynion still co-writing this? No, he's not. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah,
Snyder,
Snyder on his own.
Yeah, Snyder's track record when it comes to sticking the landing, me and Christine don't think is a high percentage rate, but I think
His plot lines are great.
Yeah,
finales are.
Yeah, but sometimes leave you wanting. But
Yeah.
this is good. This was a good issue. And I love Jarro. That's all I'm going to
Yeah,
say.
I like Jarro too.
Next up, we got Avengers number 26. We're going to try to get through some of these other ones quick here, guys. We don't have much to say on some of these since there's fucking like almost 20 of them here. Jason Aaron, Avengers issue 26, art by Dale Keown, which is a big deal for any fans of the 90s. He did a famous run on the Hulk, as well as, stuff over at Image Comics as well. With a ton of different inkers, also with Andrea Sorrentino, who's fucking all over the place these days, it seems like, in art. I guess he contributed a few pages to this issue at the end as well.
To be honest
yeah,
with you.
these last couple of pages he drew.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, this was decent. I I don't know. To be honest, like coming out of the Ghost Rider arc, I was looking forward to starting a new arc, but then this again now, every arc he's been kind of doing one of these one-off issues where it tells a story about like the Avengers, like the prehistoric age ones, the BC ones that Jason Aaron's basically been talking about since the start of his run. He hasn't dedicated so much time to it, but like I said, like every other arc, you'll get like a one-off story where they kind of tell a tale about one of the Avengers from back then, and this one in particular was the Star Brand from back then. And so it's basically told mostly through like the prehistoric age and like with dinosaurs, yeah, dinosaurs and like
almost like cavemen.
Yeah, and there's like reptiles. It was a really good issue to pick for Dale Keown to draw. I will say that. I think he picked a good artist for that. I mean, this guy doesn't regularly draw comics all that often as far as I know nowadays, so to bring him to do this issue, he definitely picked an issue for his strengths, I think. I mean, he's got a Hulk in this basically because the Star Brand takes over like a Hulk. Like
I thought that was the Red Hulk.
No, this is the Hulk from back then. Like, that's essentially what he turns into here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't really know what Star Brand was, to be honest with you.
It's like this entity that, like, space entity that basically picks people and takes people over and gives them, like, this massive power.
Okay.
So that's what basically happened in this.
I know he had, like, a T-Rex and then the Hulk.
Whoever this fucking, like, Banner character is,
it
touched him. The Star Brand took him over. So, yeah.
He became this crazy, massive
Hulk with the Star Brand power, which is pretty fucking crazy. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. I give it a 3.5, to be honest with you. It wasn't my favorite issue, but it was okay.
Hey, we're on the same wavelength. I gave this a 3.5, too. Mostly because I didn't quite know what Star Brand... I understood the entire story, and I knew who everybody was, technically. I just didn't know what Star Brand was. So, it lost a little allure. My next one here is Absolute Carnage number 5. How long is this going on for? 6?
This is it.
Oh, this was the finale.
Yeah.
Well, that tells you a lot. So this is by Johnny Cates and Ryan Stegman. Well.
Yeah, well, it must have not had much of an impression on you if that's the case.
I thought it was good. I didn't find it had like a super definitive ending. I know it ended with...
I mean, there was a big story beat ending there.
Yeah, but I just expected it to continue.
Yeah.
So, I guess it would continue, but in Venom.
Yeah. I mean, this basically just set up things that are going to continue in his run, right?
Yeah.
This is just like a little aside story of like this Carnage-specific thing that happened.
So, I'm not super wrong.
Yeah.
It's still continuing, just not the actual Absolute Carnage. I actually really liked this. I thought it was good. You got a lot of... Brock's really good mentality and where his allegiances lie, basically, because he was told by Carnage, basically, like, well, here's your 2 options. Either you kill me and you, like, the prophecy is born and this guy ends up taking over and I kill you and take your codexes and I bring in this whole crazy...
Yeah, the symbiote god.
Yeah, the symbiote god. I can't remember his name right now.
Null.
Null, yeah. I was thinking Gore, but that's Thor.
Well, Null is in that book, too.
I know, but that's what kept throwing me off. I just kept thinking Gore.
Yeah.
So I thought this was fucking crazy. I thought this was really good. The ending was awesome. I loved when he was sitting there with his son, and then he was like, hold on.
Yeah.
You said I was your son?
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. I actually gave this a 5.
Yeah.
So, leading from my first comments.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was a great ending.
Yeah.
I love the ending of this. I thought it was good because they made you feel like this was a big event at the start. And by the end of it, I think in a way, because like you said, you barely even noticed that it was over. It just told like a good story.
Yeah,
and
that's going to merge into and actually continue.
And that
so
story
there's a point
threads.
to the story.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually prefer that.
Same
That's
here.
why I don't like events. Like, and even though they treated this like an event with the tie-ins,
it didn't feel like
and
it.
like it was 5 issues, all said and done, and then a big story beat that we were waiting for him to find that out through the whole Venom series up to this point that he was his father.
Not his brother. It's it's a son.
Yeah. So it kind of worked out in that way. The symbiote god is being reawakened now, which is, you're definitely going to see fucking play out in that.
I would hope so.
This is Ryan Stegman's work of his fucking career on this.
Oh, yeah.
This issue was amazing looking.
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, and this new inker he's been working with on the Venom book, J.P. Meyer, I think, has been working magic with him as well. I mean, it's definitely been bringing an extra, to his pencils. I mean, there's this page where he's like basically awakens, and there's all these like little fucking symbiotes that kind of spray away from him. Like basically, it almost looks like fucking semen or something like
sperms.
that. Yeah, sperms. Yeah.
Symbiote venom sperms.
Yeah. Awesome looking art. Great ending, and exciting things to come within the pages of Venom.
I thought it was great.
So I gave it a 5. This kind of fired on all cylinders for me. I thought it kind of, in the middle of the 5-issue arc of this event, while it was never bad, it definitely seemed like it was kind of like, lingering a little bit.
It amped up, and it it was doing its thing.
Yeah, but this was great end. Next up, I got Conan number 11. Jason Aaron, writer on this, Mahmoud Asrar, Matthew Wilson on colors. I loved this fucking issue of Conan. I'm so sad because the solicits came out for, I think, February for Marvel, and then issue 12, the next issue of this, is Jason Aaron's last issue, at least for now. Like, I haven't heard any announcement that he's leaving the title, but he had always said this first 12 issues is going to be one big Conan story for him. So I hope he's returning to the title after that.
A break, hopefully.
Yeah, like, because there's a different writer on number issue 13 and a different artist. So I just don't know if they're just refueling. Maybe Mahmoud is drawing some issues and they're going to come back with another story.
That'd be good. Yeah,
I really hope so, because I just think
this
team
up has been killing it.
I mean, he's such a perfect writer for this book, and I love Conan, and I just think that under Jason Aaron, like, it was the perfect melding of one of my favorite my favorite writer and one of my favorite characters and favorite artists.
Just everything worked for you.
Basically, in this issue, he meets Chrome. He meets his god in this. Like, he has like a crazy, like, again, like almost like another Vision Quest type thing in this one.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he dies. He essentially dies, like, because at the end of the last issue, the antagonist, this person that we've been seeing bits and pieces of this whole time that has these evil kids, they ended up stabbing the shit out of Conan. He died. Mm-hmm. He basically went to, like, I guess what heaven is in this, and he climbs this unclimbable mountain, and once he got to the top, he was faced with his god, who was, like, in the form of, like, a rock man of some sort. Like,
it almost
was
looked like the guy from Lord of the Rings.
Okay, yeah, all right. But
the one that Gandalf fights.
I mean, the guy he yells out Chrome all the fucking time. And I don't know if this has been done before in Conan, but if it hasn't, then brilliant. Just really smart move. Like, just because we all know Chrome, because he said all the time. We know who he is, but not actually who he is. Exactly. So, like, the fact that he faced him here, and he was just, like, so fed up with him because Conan wouldn't give up. Even in the face of death, he won't give up against him. He tries to take him down. He's literal god. He's just like, you know what?
Old ass frail man.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? Okay, here's your punishment. He's like, you're gonna go back to Earth and you're gonna suffer the rest of your days. And when on your dying breath, I'm gonna fucking get my revenge on you because you'll have, like, had the worst fucking life. Like, he
we're gonna put you through every fucking
exactly. So he
pull.
sends him back, and at the end, he fucking gets up from being dead, and he's just like, hey, you fucking kids, like, let's do this. Like, the guys that just killed him, right? Whatever the hell he says here, Oh, he says, like, hell it does. Yeah, he's like, now begins the great red age of Razazel, and he's just like hell it does. Fucking Conan.
Back up again,
Gave it a 5. Great issue.
I agree with you. I thought this was awesome. But yeah, I thought that the design of Crom was very reminiscent of the Lord of the Rings. Right now, I can't think of the actual guy's name. If you asked me tomorrow, I would know. But yeah, he looks like the guy that he kills Gandalf.
Yeah.
And then he tries to kill Conan.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a 5. It was awesome. So the next one here is a one-shot. Batman White Knight presents Von Freeze. This is also part of the Black Label, but it's a regular-sized comic, not the oversized one. This is written by Sean Murphy and Klaus Janson on art.
Klaus. which is kind of fitting because there's a lot of Germans in this one.
Germans and snow.
Yeah, a lot of Nazis.
Yeah. This I thought was really good. I thought it was a cool... From saying that I haven't read a lot of Dr. Freeze stuff and now reading a one-shot background story of him.
Right.
I actually thought this was really cool. I liked how you saw, his father growing up and how he was basically ignored and taken care of by this other guy that was an associate of his father's, who was actually kind-hearted and...
A Jewish man, yeah.
Yeah, he was a Jewish man.
Jacob.
He was super kind, brought him into his family, showed him what a family could be. Then his father ends up becoming, one of Hitler's right-hand associates.
Scientists.
Science, yeah.
Basically, like, he's like the mad scientist that was working on new weaponry. Like, which was the freeze gun.
Rays, yeah. And then at the end here, I didn't understand the significance of this necklace. That Batman.
Yeah, I think that's just something for Sean Murphy's story. Because, I don't even know if any of this is actually canon, any of this. I think this is just in Sean Murphy's universe.
But in this story, I didn't recall this showing up or anything.
Did you read the thing at the end that Sean Murphy wrote?
No.
There's a one-page thing at the end, actually, where he talks about meeting Klaus Janson, because Klaus Janson is the legendary inker that worked on Dark Knight Returns, like the Frank Miller, one of the best Batman, basically, in stories ever. And he did the inks on that. He's mostly known as an inker, but Klaus also draws, so he draws now and then as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a big fan of his artwork as well, and his inks, for that matter. But he met him, and they went out and they discussed stuff. And I guess him being a German, he had asked if he had any,
stories or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
and then he said, he feels, greatly affected by the story in this because, he had to show the thing with the Jews and the Germans and stuff like that. So it was very personal to both of them. And apparently Sean Murphy was just getting over some sort of death in his family at the time. So the way that they kind of put this story together, they were
I'll have to backtrack and
I won't get into the whole thing, but it was an interesting it gave extra context to the story and why they chose to do it and how they got together and did this. And it actually,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
I'll have to go back.
It seems it meant a lot
to
them.
Crunch,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, of course.
Okay, that's awesome. I gave this a 4.5. I actually really, really liked it.
Oh, man, I give this a 5.
Did you?
You know me, I love World War II stories. Fucking a comic with Nazis in it. Freeze, Klaus Janson on art. I loved it. I thought this was great, man. And then, like I said, the icing on the cake was that letter at the end. It was actually a pretty awesome.
That could have been my extra 4.5, my 0.5.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, great stuff. And he basically explained in that as well that this is a backstory that if you were reading the Curse of the White Knight series that he's doing right now, this would fall in between issues 6 and 7, which we've yet to hit.
Yeah,
but I guess there's going to be a turning. So there might be there might be more significance to that chain.
I'm assuming because at the end there he's with Harley and stuff like that.
I don't know why he did this other than the chance to work with him. What I got out of that letter.
To get this other story out.
Yeah, but I thought maybe that he needed an extra month to draw the rest of his story, Sean Murphy. But yeah, this was great. I loved it. So next up, you got the Batman's Grave #2 of 12. This is written by Warren Ellis, art by Brian Hitch. I guess this is the second issue. Is this on the chopping block still? Is this within cutting off territory? Yeah. This was a very fast issue for me to read because half of the issue is basically just told through a fight sequence, and Warren Ellis writes fantastic fight sequences. The way he always gets the best out of the artist usually. And it's really hard to do really good dynamic fight sequences. And I thought this was a good one. It's just one of those issues that because of that, though, depending on how much time you sit there and actually focus on the art and what's happening in that, there's not a lot of dialogue to basically carry you through. So as a result, you end up reading the issue quite, much faster than you normally would. But then other than that, there wasn't really much to this issue, to be honest. Like, he basically took down that weirdo that he found that was hidden under the floorboards, the murderer from the first arc, from the first issue that's set up. And since it is a Warren Ellis Batman story, it still does feel very different in tone. And I wouldn't say that I'd like to drop it just because it's Warren Ellis. Like, his name, like, he... You know, if this was anybody else, maybe, but I have
a lot of pull for you. I know that.
Yeah. I give him a lot of rope, and I know kind of it's somebody I'm interested in reading it because it's a Warren Ellis Batman. But yeah, then you get some moments with him and Alfred afterwards, and it basically, you know, it just kind of ended abruptly. It felt like, so it was a weird issue. Like, basically, the issue was the fight. Like, I would say for this one. So like it was a nice end capper to the first issue, but these first two was just like one story. Yeah, exactly. It was just almost like if they just did an oversized first issue, you could have just ended it there, right? So I'm interested to see how the pacing goes with the rest of the series, but I mean, I would stick with it just because, like I said, it's Warren Ellis and Batman. But I gave it a 3.5.
Okay. Yeah. I'm on the same as you.
Yeah.
I thought the art was really good. I did like the fight scenes and the craziness of this guy. Fucking maniac coming out of the floorboards with shaved teeth, it looks like.
Yeah.
I thought it was all really good with looking, and the fight scene, like you said, was really dynamic. The artist did a really good job with Warren Ellis's direction, I'm sure, in how to portray the fight scene. But yeah, not a lot other than that happened. So I also gave this a 3.5. I'm still down to read it. I think it's got a lot of potential. So
yeah, it wasn't bad. It just, it is what it is, right?
I did like the scenes of, what's his face?
Alfred hungover.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I've had such a rough morning. And he's like, well, you try drinking 77% alcohol, and still be okay. Yeah. So the next one here, I have Rob Guillory's Farmhand, number 11. So we're back for the third arc of this series. And man, oh man, I love this book so much.
Right now, Christine's giving the chef's kiss kind of sign in there. She's just like, yeah. Right.
This just fills a void of stuff that you never know you need this in your life until you've read it, and then you can't stop. It's never enough.
Yeah.
I thought this jumped in perfectly. It started off with more of a background scene with Jebediah and how he started this whole company with the people around him, and then it jumped right into, you know, today's age in the story where we left off, and all these people are infected, and
right, with a lot of the same characters from the past. Like his father's friends were, like, I guess, a businessman, like the priest that we know in the current storyline. One of them is the woman who's like infected by this shit that's going on right now.
She's got the weird flower eye and everything usually.
Yeah.
And then he's got this guy that works for him, who he's still given,
who's the son of the dirty politician from the past sequences. So
he's like, you're lucky that you know, you still even have a job. And he's like, can I get out of this waste management?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you're lucky you can have a job. And guess where this guy goes? Straight to the woman with the flower eyeball. Yeah. So I'm so intrigued as to where this goes. I gave this a 5.
Yeah.
And the cool little thing I read in the back of this is that it's optioned for AMC to be a TV show.
Yeah, which I don't know how it's gonna.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how it'll work, but I'm down for it.
Yeah, for sure, and I'm glad to hear that of his success.
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, going into the third arc here, I gotta say I've always been a huge fan of his art, but he's done a great job as a writer on this series as well. You know, the first couple of issues, you know, I wasn't sure, but by the end of that first arc, I was definitely on board. And then after the second arc, I was like, this is one of my favorite series going on right now from a creator I really like, and the fact that he's doing it all himself, it's fantastic. Yeah, I don't have much else to add.
No worries.
Yeah, other than what you said there. I will say one thing, though. I love him for his cartoony style and humor. Obviously, we know him originally from Chew. But I think in this, in particularly even in this issue, there was some depictions in this about, like, you know, like back in the day, because this is the South, like slavery. Like there's a Ku Klux Klan scene here. There's like some like family tree type stuff going on. There's some dark imagery going on in this. And I think
it's
that
not all happy-go-lucky.
No, but that's the thing. His art, he's actually adapting his art to this kind of tone in this, and it's doing
very dark
a
and
great
shadowy.
job at it.
I loved it
because, like, you know, we know him more so for like because he's
the wacky, outgoing.
Well, yeah, you know, the background gags and like he still does that in this series a bit here and there, and but not as much. And it's just one of those things where I think he's just evolving as a cartoonist because usually I like his cartoony style, but I think he was able to bring like a new level of like
I agree,
of seriousness to his art in this as well. Like he's able to match the tone with his art really well.
And everything, yeah.
I just I'm just very surprised that he's coming off that well, like in that regard as well. I mean, I already know he's a great artist, but yeah, I gave it a 5. Great issue. I got Event Leviathan issue number 6 of 6. It's the end of the miniseries, although at the end they said there's going to be like a one shot. I guess this almost like serves as an epilogue. Event Leviathan Dawn. But by the same team.
Yeah.
Written by Bendis, art by Alex Maleev. This basically, I enjoyed this series enough overall. There was moments of it I thoroughly enjoyed. I'm a big fan of Alex Maleev's art. It was really cool to see him do a DC miniseries with Bendis. But it basically did what I was afraid it was going to do and make the fucking person that was the killer in the middle of this mystery that we've been following all through all 6 issues, somebody that we have no fucking reference for in this series at all. I hate when they fucking do that. Like,
character.
Just feels like such a cop out. Like, and I get it. It's a Manhunter. It's a lesser known Manhunter character that is probably a character in the DC universe, but there was no reference to this character throughout this whole storyline. It's like the whole time you set up the story on the basis like one of these people is Leviathan that's with us. Like they're all starting to look at each other, and if there was actually like a breadcrumb trail, thank you, that led you and maybe put in some clues, even if we caught it an issue or two before the reveal happened, like as a reader, like what's wrong with that? Like at least do it. Give us some sort of payoff where it's like it was somebody that you saw in this series. Like guess what? Like it could have been like even like the most like random fucking person they ran into in one panel. Like, just make it that guy. You know what I mean?
Not even
but
that.
It's not. That's I hate when they do that. Fucking.
I just thought it was so anticlimactic, and I don't give a shit.
Yeah, you're like, guess who the Leviathan was? This guy. You're like, who?
Cool.
Yeah. It was just like, I'm Star-Lord, man. Who? From Guardians. Yeah. Come on, man. Star-Lord. It was like that. It was just
wasn't even that funny.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was just
there was
like,
no humor here.
Hey, man, I'm Manhunter.
Yeah.
The one that's on our team? No. One that was 3 Manhunters back. Oh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah, like the most obscure fucking character ever.
Beat it now.
That's great. Yeah. Anyways, I will say though, I did like the scene where they all had to do sign language in this because they couldn't talk. They were trying to. That was cool.
Yeah.
The art was good. Some of the dialogue was good, and I also liked the whole idea that Leviathan was actually trying to pull in Superman at the end. Like he was the one person, of course, out of everybody, Superman. You want him on your side.
Yes.
He was trying to convince him, I'm doing this for the good of everybody. Like so, I kind of got his motive. Even his motive wasn't bad. It was just like, why was it this fucking character we've never heard of, right? So yeah, that's the only thing that pissed me off. I give it a 4.
Wow, you gave it a lot higher than I would have.
Because like I said, I just pointed out the things I did like about it. It's just it just was a little bit. It was anticlimactic and it was a bit of a letdown, but I think that it was
everything
good enough.
Else went above. I gave it a 3.5. I really didn't give a shit about the reveal here. Which I'm sure nobody did because no one knows who this person is.
Yeah, we have no attachment to this character.
Out of everybody who read this probably knows who that was. I gave it a 3.5. The art was great. Like you said, everything else you said was valid and I agree with. I care less about
it's
this.
It
was a story that I was into and then...
Yeah.
So my last one for this evening is Batman number 83... by Tom King and Mikkel Janin. Finally! Finally! We got to the actual him finding Alfred dead.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this was 10 issues later?
Yeah.
Fuck!
Some closure.
Yes! is. I thought this was so well done. The one thing I mentioned to Niko while I read this is when you wake up being the only two people at the ends of a table, a set table, mind you, why is it your instinct to jump on the table and run over the table to get to the other side instead of running around the table on the ground?
Yeah.
I know it looks more dramatic. It just feasibly doesn't seem that successful.
Yeah.
But I thought the art was really, really good. The facial expressions there at the first 3 pages were really great. The dialogue, I thought, with, everything going through that Alfred would have said, and the whole, what's the thing I'm thinking? Lullaby, basically.
Yeah.
That Batman's mom used to say to him.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, well, this is why this popped into my head. I thought this was great. I really quite enjoyed this issue. This is all I've been waiting for 10 fucking issues.
Right. And now it's the final showdown between him and his father now.
Yeah.
Now that Bane's out
Right
of the
at the
picture,
very
right?
end.
Yeah.
I gave this a 5. I actually...
Wow.
Just because I finally got it.
Wow. Yeah, no, I get it. I gave it a 4.
This was a much better climax than fucking Event Leviathan. I think it was just my build-up of everything.
Yeah, it was well done. It was good. I had no problems with it. Yeah. But yeah, it just didn't have as much of an impact on me as it did with you. I gave this a 4.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You think if it was anything else, I would give it a 4, but I was just so happy that it finally got
fine.
there.
You're like, Alfred, yeah, there you are. He's dead.
I know.
Yeah. So yeah, and then last off, I have Batman Superman issue number 4, written by Joshua Williamson, art by David Marquez. Yeah, this issue was all right. Maybe my least favorite issue of the series so far, though, I would say, if I'm being honest, just because, I'm like, come on already, let's get to it. At this point, I felt like at this point, all the people that were infected by the Joker serum now have showed up to fight them at the end of this issue. Everybody's been revealed. I will say it was a super cool moment where Supergirl showed up, caught a batarang that was flying through the air, and then at that point you had almost forgotten that they were aware that there was that batarang still in play. And,
I did forget that all of a sudden it was just like, the fuck just happened?
I will say, for that one moment, I thought it was pretty. It was a pretty solid issue. That and the fact that, again, it's the character moments you get between Superman and Batman just chopping it up. For me, that's what all this all the action in this series, all the fucking stupid Batman who laughs, which is the stupidest fucking name. Everyone's calling him that. They have to, even to each other, they don't have a nickname for him other than Batman who laughs. You just can't call him Joe or something. Not Joe, but
Joe.
Just a single fucking name, word. By the time you're saying, hey, it's the Batman who laughs, it's just you're wasted.
Dead.
Yeah, you wasted fucking a whole minute of your life explaining who this guy is. I don't know. So that's kind of annoying, but Dave Marquez is killing it on the art, and I liked that, and I liked the moment where he makes a reference about Diana in this, when they're just casually talking, and Batman's he says something. Superman asks him something about Wonder Woman. When they're shooting the shit, and he basically is Donna's powers could always rival even Diana's, Bruce. Yeah, Donna Troy, because she was possibly infected, right? So he's like, you ever spar with Wonder Woman in the Hall of Justice training center before? And Batman's like, a few times. And he's like, how'd that go? He's like, I had bruises for months, and I know she was holding back.
Yeah.
Just things like that. They know so much about each other and the people that they work with that these human moments that you get between them, just kind of shooting the shit. I really like those moments in this book. You know what? I was gonna give it a 3.5, but I'm gonna give it a 4 just because I really enjoyed those couple of moments.
Yeah, I'll agree with you with that. I did like all those points that you just mentioned. I gave this a 4 for that as well. That Supergirl part was the most shocking thing to me, because I was like, yeah! She came in and she, kicked ass, and it was as soon as she was, turning, I was like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, because it was like almost like such a throwaway panel. Like she was just like she like picked it up and like grabbed it, threw it, and was just like, okay, come on, guys, let's get this done.
Well, no,
here,
she
right?
doesn't throw it. She keeps it in her
Oh,
hand.
right.
But yeah, she zooms in when like they're about to die.
Yeah, like you forget about it though.
Yeah,
like, you forget
I just
about
didn't
it.
even think of it anymore. And I was like, that's so badass.
Yeah.
Like, good for her.
Yeah.
Then the next panel, she's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like her face and the art was just so good, and then she starts puking, and that part was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave this a 4.
All right. So those are our books for the week. Now we'll discuss our favorites of the week. Do you know what your clear winner is? Did you want to start us off with yours, or?
So I have kind of 2 contenders.
I do
now.
as well. One that I actually had forgotten about prior to recording because I hadn't read it today.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, go ahead.
So my 2 is Farmhand and Absolute Carnage. They're so fucking different.
They are. Yeah.
But they were both so good today.
Yeah.
What are yours?
Mine are actually 2 different
Completely
books.
different,
yeah,
yeah.
mine is Von Freeze and Conan.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, Carnage is probably the closest, I think, after those out of all these. Yeah. Deadpool, not so much, just because I enjoyed it, but it's a Deadpool book. It's what I kind of expect in tone, but it was a great start. Farmhand, again, at this point, it's a series that
consistently good.
for me, where it's like a big event had to happen in this issue for me to kind of put it over the top, I think, at this point. But out of these contenders, the Von Freeze really surprised me, and Conan was just like one of the best issues, I think, of the run so far, just because the fact that he met his
all
god.
of that is
I'm
agreeable.
probably gonna give the edge, I think, to Batman White Knight Presents Von Freeze, though, just because it was like a nice little one shot, and actually, and we've always talked about how good Sean Murphy's art has been, but this second series, The Curse of the White Knight, has not been as enjoyable for me as the White Knight, the first one, has been so far.
I can agree. I haven't read
The Curse of the White, the current one that's going on with Azrael in it.
Yes.
It's good, but it's not as good as
Something
Batman
is not-
White Knight, the first one with the
clicking as
Harley
much.
and Joker thing.
Yeah.
But this, as an aside to that, was and Sean Murphy wasn't even the artist on this. I thought was probably the best thing that come out of this so far.
For sure, yeah.
For me.
That's fair.
But so World War II Nazis. I gotta give it to
your edge.
this. Yeah, I gotta give it to this. I gotta give it to that.
I think I gotta go Absolute Carnage.
Wow. It's so funny just because you were just so like at the start you're like, oh, this is done? You're like, oh. And then I thought you were going to be like, this was like a shitty ending. Yeah.
No,
like,
I actually really loved it.
Okay. I was about to say, because when you started off that way, I was like, oh, I'm like, I really like this issue in my head. I was like, where's she going with this?
I know, it came off
That
really
was
odd.
strange.
It wasn't intentional. It's just how it happened.
Yeah, that's okay.
But yeah, I actually really loved that issue, and I loved the ending. I was just kind of like, yes. And it was really, really good. Like, I thought it was fantastic.
You're a mess.
I am a mess. My thoughts don't come out in one fluid form.
Yeah. No, there you have it, guys. Those are our favorites of the week. Thanks for tuning in. By the time you hear this, if you were listening on release date, it is going to be the second episode that we put out in the past few days, actually. So yeah, we're all back on track now, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for checking us out.